What's good, everybody? It's your girl Candace from South Carolina by Black Locally. Have you been thinking about voting? What's the proper way of voting? Registering? How do you do these things? Well, we have Tomeaka Fladger of Sow the Seed with us on today. She's going to tell us all about it. So let's jump in with our episode with Tomeaka today. What's good, everyone? Welcome to season 2 of South Carolina by Black Locally, SCBBLSHOW. What's good, everyone? Welcome to season 2 of South Carolina by Black Locally, SCBBLSHOW. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the SCBBL show. Today we are with Tomeaka Fladger of Sow the Seed. Welcome, Tomeaka.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Tomeaka, and then we'll go into Sow the Seed.
Okay. Well, I am a Berkeley County resident. I was born and raised in that area. I won't tell you what year I graduated, but I'm a Stratford Knight and a University of South Carolina graduate as well as Rutgers University. And I work in public service right now. The first 10 years of my career was in human resources. And then I got involved in 2010 in the public sector, working with individuals who needed training and resources to help them create, more sustainability in their families' lives. And that's presently the types of organizations that I work for now. I presently work with that population, but in a different capacity, helping them with their benefits, as well, finding employment, as well as finding resources to help them achieve economic stability in their lives and in their families' lives.
Awesome. So you're into service, you're into helping people, and so that seems like that's your career path.
Well, I don't know if that is the case, but I would say that because I certainly didn't expect to stay in that. I thought that it was going to be a temporary, moment. Mm-hmm. But then when I started seeing what was happening with individuals, I kind of, wanted to act like
superhero?
Well, actually, I was thinking of the young lady from Olivia Pope. I wanted to be the fixer.
Gotcha.
And help people get out of poverty. Okay. I got inspired by the frustration I was seeing, mm-hmm. or I was getting frustrated, and I wanted to solve that. I've probably evolved now since then, but I'm still focused on trying to alleviate poverty in a different way. I want to take a different approach with poverty and start talking about it from a capitalistic standpoint and making sure they start to understand how our country really looks at poverty. Do we really have a war on poverty, or is it much more a lot of show but no action? So that's what I'm inspired by now, is to really kind of put that out there and say, okay, especially now that technology is going to play such a huge part in the rest of our lives, now that we're in the tech economy. I just really want that population to really make sure they're understanding technology, understand that it's not an option not to embrace it. So right. You better start understanding it and start understanding how to make it work for you and in the lives of you and your children.
Awesome. Great work. That's a great segue into Sow the Seed.
Yes.
Tell us more about Sow the Seed.
Well, Sow the Seed is my project where I am attempting to really start, tying in the term sow, which means to plant. I want to plant seeds of knowledge within the lives of those who are digitally disconnected and economically disadvantaged. I call that dead people, so I talk to dead people every day. And so I really want to start talking to them about, like I said before, how things really work in our country as opposed to how we perceive it to be. Yeah. I think social media in a weird way, has done a lot to expose that. For example, the whole notion of the college admissions scandal. That's just, it's
always been happening.
Yeah, it's putting it out there that the rich do have a way to, always, find an opening.
Yeah.
And then those of us who are at the bottom, seem like we can't ever get out of the hole. And I just think that social media has will continue to cause us to actually have to now question, okay, do we believe what people are telling us, or do we believe what we see?
Right.
And I think that what we're seeing now is stuff that we actually do need to take a look at and really internalize it and say, okay, this is what we see right in front of our faces. For example, with number 45. He is saying exactly what he means. Mm-hmm. So if we don't take that seriously, then there are consequences to that we will experience for generations. For example, one of the big issues with 2020, or even just the 2016 election, is that unfortunately the Midwest, as they like to call it, the workers there were saying, or I think they're using the term working class, mm-hmm. so that's code word for white poor, right. Is being forgotten. Well, technically, it's not so much that they've been forgotten, it's much more that they're not paying attention. So it's not so much that they're losing their jobs to the immigrants, they're going to be losing their jobs to automation, to robotics. There's going to be, what algorithms mm-hmm. that actually replace what somebody does on a day-to-day basis. I mean, and it's going to even impact those who have a college degree. So, for example, radiology is something where now a computer could read the X-ray much better than a human. So technically, here it is. You've gone to school like 16 plus years, and then technically. You're replaced. So it's not even going to impact just the low-income individuals. Everyone's got to be paying attention and noticing and saying, okay, am I evolving? Am I paying attention to what's going on in my industry? Will I have a job? And those kinds of things. And technically, the point I was trying to make with tying it to number 45 is he's misleading those individuals to tell them that it's the Hispanic population that is taking over their jobs, when it's reality, it's globalization, where mm-hmm. those jobs are going away because of technology, or that they can be done faster overseas. And so it's going to be a problem when that comes to fruition, and then they're going to be like, well, wait a minute, you told me you could save my jobs. And see, he's going to go on to being a Fox News, having his own Fox News show once he leaves. So he could care less about those individuals, because for him it's about his money, not their money.
Exactly.
And, I can foresee that already, and that's going to cause a lot of animosity. And could be, for me, I could see I guess, I hate to put it this way, but I could see a civil war that could be projected as much more of a race war, when it's really an economic war mm-hmm. Between the rich and the poor, as opposed to black versus white, or black and brown versus white. It really shouldn't be forecast that way, because in all honesty, if you're not keeping up, irregardless of what color, because poverty does not discriminate, mm-hmm. you will be on the side of the road with your box, standing right next to the black or brown person wow. with their box in their hand, because they were all shocked that they lost their job. My part-time job is at a grocery store, and I already know that, I don't plan to be there 10 years, because more than likely they will have replaced me with a self-checkout. Yeah. So, I'm already making plans or thinking about it, that, what am I going to do if I still continue to need a part-time job in about 10 years? I hope not. I hope that the seed in the books, that I'm hopefully trying to finish up writing mm-hmm. will, pave the way that I won't need a part-time job in 10 years. But, right. It's good to be aware that you may not have the current job, and be flexible and always, as I like to say it, be nosy. The professional term is inquisitive. Always stay inquisitive, stay nosy right. for the rest of the time that you are alive, because this world is constantly going to be changing now that technology is going to be the key driver in our economy. So you got to constantly be reading and educating yourself on those kinds of things. And specifically in relationship to the population I'm serving, many of them don't do that. They don't read every day. They don't, go and search Google and say, you know what, let me ask Google a question every single day that I haven't asked before, just so that you can start educating yourself. Because the reality is in a couple of years, when you go to say, well, I don't know, somebody's going to laugh at you because it's like, wait a minute.
Have you been hiding under a rock?
Yeah, did you like, because that's going to be the thing. Nobody will be able to justify being able to say I don't know.
Right.
Because you could have Googled it, and now that we have voice technology, you can't even say that, oh, I can't type. Speak into the air, like Alexa is there. Somebody, will be able to, some system will be able to tap into the question that you want to ask.
Right.
And I want that population to really start to feel empowered and actually take that technology and say, hey, how do I look at my community and say, how do we fix that? For example, in the book that I hope will come out like in October or November of this year, I call it We Overcame, because in the book I illustrate things how we can use technology in our own communities to start saying, okay, well, what can we fix in our own communities? For example, I think we really are at a time where we could possibly start creating blind justice, because I think that right now, expecting the police brutality to end on its own or just through the compassion of people and all of those kinds of things, I don't think that's realistic. But I think as we bring technology into play, for example, I grew up watching Knight Rider, and so in that, if you're old enough to remember Knight Rider, the car could do, had computer, programs and could do things to assist David Hasselhoff. And one of the things I was thinking is that now that we have that kind of technology with our cars, why aren't we putting pressure on Google and some of the Tesla and things like that to start working on how do we computerize the police cars? I'd love for them to be the first cars that are self-driving, or put all that automation in their cars first, because, for example, with Tamir Rice, I think he was 12 or 13 years old. What if that vehicle could have done an x-ray of him and then said to the police officer, you're pointing your gun at a 12-year-old child as opposed to a grown man?
Wow.
Why did he even think that the little young child was a grown man?
Yeah, that's
And so it's things like that where we can take out the person's perceptions and replace it with technology to make it safer for our community. And I think that we have to start letting people know that those things are out there, because the main, those that have, I will call them, aren't going to naturally think of those things. They're going to think about them 10 years from now when they can make a profit from it. But if we know about it today, that it exists, and can start putting pressure on those companies to say, hey, why don't you put money towards that? Why don't you partner with the Ford Foundation and put these things together? Then we can start incorporating how we see the new world has to be. Because that's in essence what the nerds are doing right now in Silicon Valley, is creating a whole new world. And we're not tapped into it. We're not picking up on it, that they're creating a whole new world. And we really need to start doing that and saying, hey, you know what? Why is it that they're thinking of this, this, and this to in essence, better their world, but we're not saying, hey, you know what? What's wrong with our community? Okay, so we need to work on this, this, and this, and identify those things. So that's really what the book We Overcame really will highlight, is just hopefully open the eyes of some individuals, open the ears of some individuals to start saying, okay, let me start envisioning what does a world that is fair and just look like, if that is what our community wants. I'm not sure if we do, but that's one of the things when I think of the future. I'm like, oh, well, this is what I'd like to see our world be, is fair and just, and everybody understands, the game, understands, that capitalism runs this world. And if we start to play the game the same way as you see with sports, we'll take over.
Right. So Tomeaka, what's still the seed? And you're saying that you're catering to like those communities. In what ways are you catering so people will know this this is what you provide and how you provide it. And I think you have some events coming up that you want to share. So let us know how Sow the Seed provides that and how we can engage more with it.
Right. Well, Sow the Seed right now is focused on being an education platform, an online resource. Hopefully we'll do a lot more videos as I get comfortable being on camera, so that we start educating individuals, because knowledge is power. And it's the most important thing that we do have as we move into the 21st century is our minds. And that's going to be the strongest tool in the toolbox for the remainder of the time that we're here on Earth, because the robots are actually going to do a lot more of the physical work. So saying, "Ooh, I'm going to, make a whole bunch of money just because, I'm strong," is not what's going to happen. So really starting to educate those individuals to make sure everyone understands how the game is played versus only a select few. So I want to start helping us pivot, because the toughest thing to do is change somebody's mind.
Right.
So I do
change.
behavior change. So one of the things where we want to achieve once we've as we fundraise and hopefully make some money off the books and things like that, is really to start creating our own incubator. And I want it to be for working class individuals, meaning people who know they have 10,000 responsibilities. I still want them to understand how to build their own business on the side.
Right.
Because I do think that fundamentally, as we change the dynamic of work and work becomes much more task-oriented, and it's not time-consuming as we have it now, where it's an 8-hour shift or a 12-hour shift. It might only be a 4-hour shift. You have the rest of the day still to do your own business, get on YouTube, make your own videos, then go out and, take care of somebody's groceries. That's going to be a typical work day in the future. It's not going to be that you're in one place and you're there for 8 hours a day.
I was just thinking about that. We're programmed naturally that way.
Yes.
Where our ancestors and the living ones now, they're used to getting up every day, going to work for 8 to 10 or 12 hours, and doing this for 30 plus years.
Right.
Whereas our capacity is nowhere near that. I struggle getting up to go to work for 8 hours straight. I would love to just work 4 hours. If I can get my work done in 4 hours and go head on and do something else that I would love to do, and our kids is going to be even worse.
Right.
Their
exactly.
attention span is like...
Exactly. And in all actuality, I think that today's children will grow up in that environment, so they're naturally going to be business owners and have time carved out for these various different things. So they're going to have different avenues of income.
Right.
And so we need to start already training the parents to then be able to train the children. So it's not a shock to their systems. It's not a shock to the parent, to their system, to know, hey, okay, well then I need to know what my bottom line is. I need to know my branding, because even if you're driving for Uber right now, you are a brand. Mm-hmm. The determination as to whether you get another ride depends on on how well you treated the previous customer.
Right.
Did they write a good review? Did they write a bad review? All of those things come into play, and that's called marketing. Mm-hmm. And so those are going to be core things that we need to know. 10 years ago, and even in my job right now, I don't, quote unquote, need to brand myself in my day-to-day job, but I realize as I move forward over the next 10, 20, 30 years, that's going to be the normal. Right. Is that I may still have my present job, but guess what? I may only be doing it 4 hours a day, because half of it's going to be automated, and then the rest of the day is work that I'm supposed to do that, is additional streams of income, because guess what? One stream of income isn't going to, you're not going to be able to make it off one stream of income. And I hate to put it this way, but the $15 an hour minimum wage is not going to happen in the way that a lot of folks, the politicians, are selling it, that, hey, we will just blanket across the board a federal minimum wage. What will happen is if we did do a federal minimum wage, most of the companies would then start to downsize because automation is coming naturally. So that's a great segue for them to then say, hey, you know, because
you make $15 an hour because we got to pay less people.
Exactly. And the thing about it is that a lot of things will be independent contractor work. And so therefore they can do $15 an hour because guess what? They're not going to pay you as an employee. You're going to be an independent contractor.
So you get taxed.
Exactly. And so you're going to need to know, okay, let me save some money towards my Social Security and things like that. So all of those things we need to start training our population about those kinds of things because that's going to be the new normal.
So Tomeaka, Sow the Seed is the web-based information pretty much.
Right now, and then it will evolve into an actual incubator program where we're going to train individuals. And I hope that even as we do these things on the internet, they will be educational forums for people to start making that transition, to start thinking in a different direction. But ultimately, it will be a warehouse for individuals to go in and find out, okay, what do I need to do to start my own business, and those kinds of things, because I think that's fundamentally the direction that we have to start moving in.
So tell us more about the event that you have coming up.
Thank you. Ensure the Count and the Vote is happening August 31st. At Tecmo in Somerville off of Boone Hill Road. Forgive me, I can't remember what the exact address number is, but it's right next to Somerville Adult Education in Somerville. And that event is really focused on starting to get various nonprofits, various individuals, churches, all involved in making sure that the Tri-County or the Low Country area is ready to vote next year, as well as get counted for the census.
Awesome.
Just to tie it back to Sow the Seed, with poverty or trying to eliminate poverty, it is not only it's economics, it's politics and things like that. So that's kind of why I'm touching Ensure the Count, Ensure the Vote, because it's a holistic process. So as you change the mind, you change the politics of someone. And so we want our community to be ready. We don't want to have to worry about, okay, who needs a ride, who still needs to go get their Social Security card so that they can register to vote. We want to have all of those kinds of things, problems solved before, hopefully before February, but definitely before November of 2020. We want to kind of know so that people will have a way to immediately be able to say, okay, I know I'm going to vote, so-and-so is going to take me, or I'll be able to catch an Uber, or I'll be able to catch any number of ways to get to the poll. They'll understand why it's so important to vote. And then also with the census. The census happens every 10 years. It's extremely important that we be counted because it does impact the decisions as to where the district lines are drawn in our state, and that then also defines who's in power, okay? And they love to gerrymander districts in the South. We are in the South, so you know that they're headed for that once they see where we all live and things like that, so that they can kind of,
decide where they're going to put the good stuff from the bad stuff.
Exactly. And then also, with the census, the more individuals who are counted, the more resources and dollars can be poured into organizations such as, for example, Palmetto Palmetto CAP, Community Action Partnership. Why am I blanking out? I can't remember. But Palmetto CAP, they depend on money based upon each of the three counties, the sizes of each of the three counties. Surprisingly enough, Dorchester County, out of the three, Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester gets the least amount of money. It still gets a significant amount, but I think it's mainly because we didn't count, and we're talking about we need to count the people that are couch hopping, the ones that are living in their cars. We want to make sure we've got those folks counted because every person counts. And that helps then to Palmetto, for example, with Palmetto CAP, they can help more people with their rent with their light bill, all of those kinds of things, all because of what the census says. And so when there's not a true picture, they're not going to have a true amount of money. They will get some money, but will not be as
not an
reflective.
accurate amount, yeah.
So it's very important that we get out, we make sure people are ready to vote and to participate in the census, and won't throw that piece of mail out
when it comes.
when it comes.
Well, Tomeaka, we really thank you for coming and sharing all the knowledge about everything that we need to do in our community to better equip ourselves for what's coming down the pipeline. Let people know how to follow you and stay in touch and access your website with all that wonderful information on it. In case they didn't, retain it all right now, they can go
Right.
back and check it out.
Okay. It is, you can find us on Facebook at Sow the Seed. We do have an Instagram page, but I don't think anything's active on Instagram right now. But you'll be able to follow us on Instagram at Sow the Seed as well. And then we also have our website, sowtheseed.net. And so thank you again for letting us talk.
It was our pleasure. It's your girl Candace signing off for South Carolina by Black Locally, along with Tomeaka Fladger of Sow the Seed. We'll see you next time.